Good evening and welcome to the Italian Impact Podcast. I am your co-host, Steve Stefano Mancini, and with me is
Claudio Relsano, and as always, a pleasure to be on, Steve. Thank you.
We're going to have to get that rhythm back, buddy. We'll get it.
We'll get it back. We'll get it back.
Claudio, again, it's been a little while, but I still was super appreciative of you reaching out to Ray Mancini. Folks, if you missed the last episode, we interviewed the great Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Anybody over 30 remembers his boxing career. Yeah. Under 30, you missed it. Great guy, great boxer, and I just think there was a lot of wisdom there.
You know, 99% of the interviews Ray does is about boxing. I wanted to do something different, just like we did with Mario Andretti and Jerry Cooney and Vince Ferragamo. What did these guys do to sustain their life after their respective sport? And Ray, of course, is in the entertainment business, and he's just a great guy. It's a great interview. Make sure you tune in. And Ray, along with a guy like Jerry Cooney, all you have to do is say, and Vince Papali, we had him on. Right. All you have to do is say hello, and they run with it. It's a great interview.
You know what's funny? You mentioned, I don't mean this in a disrespect, I forgot all about it, that we had Vince Papali on the show. It's been so long, though. I mean, you think we've had some really good guests on this show, and it's a shame. I think people need to go back to some of them older episodes and listen to some of those guys. There's some good episodes there.
And then we're going to have a few more guys looking to get Paulie Malignaggi. He's a two-time world champion boxer. He's going to make a comeback of sorts in the bare knuckle world. He's a real estate guy. He owns a what do you call those things when they fix cars? Not auto body, but detail place called Magic Motors. He's been involved in some restaurants, investments, and really great guy. And he wants to go back to Italy and live. But he's born there, so he'll be a great interview. And then we're going to have Mike Imbrescia, who is an Allegheny County, what is he? He's like a rep. Great guy. Really like him a lot. He and I hit it off right away. And another guy who's a business owner locally of Pittsburgh Wealth Management, Mike Battellini. So we have a lot of great guests on for sure.
And these, you know what? And folks, we want you to tune in, not just because we want to hear this Italian success story, but because they're just going to give you good advice.
Yeah,
we always
exactly.
You don't have to be Italian to enjoy the show or enjoy these people. The point I want to make, though, is that, sharing is caring. Claudio and I are trying to present a positive message to help you, to help anybody that listens to our show to be better, be a better person. And how do you do that? You listen to people that are successful. And then it isn't always about the money. These men and women that we interview, they're not just successful. Yeah, financially, I get it. They're also successful in the sense that they're good people. Yep. They're well-liked. You don't hear dirt on them. You don't hear drama. They're living life the way it's supposed to be lived. They're taking, whatever God-given talent they had, and they're maximizing it. And then they're giving you that advice on how you can do that. So sharing is caring. Please share the podcast with folks you think might be interested. If they're not Italian, say, hey, listen, nobody's perfect. Share. We still allow them to listen. But
you make a great point. Real quick, last thing, the advice that Ray gave about business. That's for everybody.
Right.
And to be honest with you, a lot of those guys we've had on, any of them, a lot of questions I asked is because I wanted to know some answers. So they're great shows. And again, Ray was a great guest.
I want to talk about a few events really quickly before we forget. We'll kind of remind folks when we sign off, but I want to bring it up. First event coming up is going to be the Columbus Day Parade. You're going to be in that.
Yeah, I'll be in the car again, which I enjoy that. It means a lot. It's I know my parents see it, but I wish they were there because I'd like to see their face, and it's special for me to be a part of it. This is my third one.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
So I'm excited.
I've actually only been in one.
Yeah, I remember that.
We were there together. That's the only time I've ever been there. So that's October 11th. It's going to be in Bloomfield.
Yeah.
So if you're anywhere in the Pittsburgh area, please go out and support that. There's a lot of reasons to support that. One is tradition. We keep talking about tradition, not losing it. Well, the only way we don't lose it is if you get involved in it. So please go out there, support if nothing else, regardless of how you feel about the day, because I know that a lot of people think that's a very controversial day. It doesn't matter. It's a day where we can get together, we can celebrate.
I think that's died down.
It has, but the
media hasn't started up too much, but I think it's died down.
I think you're right, but I think there's always those people that go, well, it's like, just go have fun at a parade. Don't overthink this.
Don't overthink.
Right. The next event is going to be October 18th. And we're going to have a little, what do we call this? Kind of an
Italian Heritage Day.
We had to settle on the name.
Right, Italian Heritage Day. That's what we're
going to... we're going to have a day. We're going to celebrate the Italian culture. Again, you can go out to the Honorary Consulate website because part of this, besides celebrating Italian culture, we're going to have some special guests there, is also to help kind of raise funds As everyone knows, I was appointed the honorary consulate, but that is a non-paid position. And that office that I have downtown, I pay for that out of pocket. So some folks have suggested, hey, how about we have a little fundraiser and help you offset some of the costs? And I said, you're welcome to do it. I'm before I have to go on a street corner with a tin cup in my hand, And Claudia, you graciously agreed to help out with, you've identified some great guests, including yourself, who will be there. And, for folks that don't know this, I'll sing your praises. Claudio is a successful author, lead from the heart up, not the head up, or the neck up.
What the hell is it called?
No, I got it.
Lead from the heart up, not the neck up.
Right.
How to create a positive winning culture on the field and in the office.
Again, and this is a guy that's been coaching for decades. He's got, championships under his belt. He knows how to win. And the other thing I think a lot of people don't know is his involvement in professional baseball as far as scouting. He's been doing that for years. Claudio also is a very, and I'm not saying this just because he's my buddy and he's sitting across from me. I've actually watched the boxing show. And a fun fact, Claudio, you might appreciate this. I've actually gone back to watching boxing. I used to watch it as a kid, and I kind of turned off. And MMA sort of just, to me, UFC and MMA, fine, but it's sort of watered it. Everything is just too much combat sports. But I was watching some, actually in the last probably year and a half, I've been just watching fights here and there, and I, watched your show, and I was like, I kind of missed that. Yeah. I miss good old-fashioned boxing. And but it is a good show that you guys do. And then you also have the Claudio Riosona show where you have a lot of good guests on there. I do encourage folks to go out there and support. Go out there and listen to his show. You're also on all the streaming services, correct?
Yep. Yes, I am.
So you can go find Claudio Riosona. Go and see. You didn't have to advertise yourself. I did it because I believe in you. I like what you offer. So I appreciate you. And so he's going to be there at the event on the 18th, and we're going to have a few surprise guests. The reason I can't mention them right now is only because we're working the time. So I don't want to commit them. Say, hey, they're going to be there at 1 p.m. and they might not show up till 3 or whatever. So we do have some other folks going to be there. But mark your calendars. 18 October at the Spino Club. That's in Morningside. It's going to be an all-day event. And go out to the Italian Consulate website. There is a nice flyer that pops up, give you more details. If you're not sure and you're looking for details, you can always email me at questions@ItalianImpactWeekly.com. Again, that's questions@ItalianImpactWeekly.com. And I think there's another event in there that I'm missing.
October 24th in
There it
Chicago
is. Yep.
is the Italian American Sports Hall of Fame. It's the main Hall of Fame. We have one here in Pittsburgh. Italian Hall of Fame. That's, I think, might be the only branch left, but we're doing very well. But again, the main one in Chicago, which that's where you have the Mancinis, the Marcianos, the DiMaggios, Franco Harris, Vince Lombardi, Jim Valvano, Calipari, Patino. I can go on and on and on.
And I've heard of every one of them. That tells you how good it is.
Yeah, Campanella. I can go on and on.
Now, the ones in Pittsburgh,
Unbelievable. We're getting there. But it's really a daunting place when you hear those names, Yogi Berra, and you see their memorabilia. They have the Rocky Marciano belt. And they're building a building to house all this stuff. It's going to be unbelievable. Ron Onesti he's the president, does a phenomenal job.
And
a lot of work.
And we'll put some links in the description for some of these events, everything that's coming up. So if you're like, I can't follow it, where's it? Well, don't worry about it. Go down in the description. The links will be down there. All right. With that being said, we want to go ahead and get started because we've got a guest who's been patiently waiting on the phone to join us. And I would like to welcome him, but he is a young gentleman who has been very active in the Italian community, and he runs a social media site, I call it a site. Basically he's got a page. You can follow him on Instagram, for example, and I'll let him share all the details. But I want to welcome Nick Fiorentino to the show. Nick, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Oh, not a problem, Nick. Nick, now I want to kind of start off with you and I met through just some different social events. So let's kind of start and introduce the folks to you. So where are you from? Where are you born, raised? Where's your family from in Italy? Because obviously you have a very strong passion for the culture. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about how that was, or you're going to explain to us, how was that infused into you? Because you are now very active in the Italian-American community.
Okay, so I was born in Pittsburgh. I grew up and was raised in Leechburg, Pennsylvania, which is about 45, 50 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. So I run the Pittsburgh Italians social media pages on Instagram and Facebook, and I met you through the Calabria Club, which I had joined just a few months after I first created my page because Sal is the president of the Calabria Club. He saw my page. He reached out to me and invited me in the club, and then that's where I met you. And so my Italian family, my ancestors, they're from Abruzzo, and then the other side is from a place called Caserta, which is just a little bit outside Naples. And that's really where a lot of my passion comes from. I never really got to meet my grandparents, so I always had a longing to meet them and knew that they were 100% Italian on my dad's side. My dad really influenced me growing up. He would always tell me about all of the aspects of Italian culture. He would always play Italian American music around me, so that's really what I had a taste for growing up. I grew up with a lot of the famous Italian American movies were very popular when I grew up, and I loved them all, and they really influenced me growing up. And I've always had like a traditional and like old school mindset to myself, and I grew up Catholic, so I just felt like all of my values and a lot of my influences in my life were highly related to Italian culture and Italian American culture specifically. Pretty much it. I don't know if that answered all your questions.
Yeah. Another thing, Nick, though, you mentioned how your dad kind of instilled that in you, and that's great on his part. But to commend you, you could have just let it go in one ear, not the other, but you didn't. For example, my parents, my dad tried to do that with my half siblings, and they just went in an ear and went out the other. For me, it stuck with me, and I always had that proud Italian culture in me. So I commend you. But when you said Abruzzi, two people right away come to mind: Bruno Sammartino and Dan Marino. Their families are from there. But then when you said Caserta, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Hall of Fame boxer Arturo Gatti. He's from there. And then, unfortunately, one of my dad's favorite relatives, Uncle Salvatore, unfortunately, and every time my dad would talk about it, he would get teary-eyed. He was killed in the war. He was one of the last people killed, and but it was in Caserta. So when you said that struck a chord. What is your goal with your projects? Is it to highlight the Italian heritage, or maybe even to get some people to follow it and kind of do what you're doing, like your age bracket? Because it is, I don't want to say lessening, but I don't know what it is. But are you trying to enhance the culture with younger people? What are you trying to do?
So I don't really have like one simple answer for that, because it really is related to a lot of different aspects. But basically the page was initially inspired because I went to the Columbus Day in Bloomfield for the first time about 2 years ago. And before I went to the Columbus Day Parade, I was trying to find information about it because I had always heard of it growing up, but I never actually went to it. And I had a very hard time finding out what the date was, what the time was, where they were doing it, anything. I didn't see any promotion for it. There were no social media pages pushing it. The local news stations, they weren't like making articles or any they weren't making any videos about it. So I really didn't even find out about it until my girlfriend at the time, she saw someone post about it in the Oakmont group on Facebook, because we were living in Oakmont at the time, and it was posted by Kathy Fusca, who's one of the organizers of the parade. And all she posted was just a very simple flyer. And that just made me realize that, like, at least for the Columbus Day Parade, the promotion is not really there. And I had a sense that it might be organized by a little bit of an older crowd who might not be as, like, well adept to social media. So that's really what inspired me to do it. And then when I did go to the Columbus Day Parade, that's also when I learned about all these different Italian American organizations that are around Pittsburgh that I had no idea existed. And that really showed me that we actually do still have somewhat of an Italian American community and culture here. And just based off the parade, based off the participation and all the people that showed up, I could also see that the culture was kind of fading away, because it was primarily older folks that were there. You didn't really see a whole lot of the youth participating in the parade with the Italian American organizations. So I really wanted to create these pages to bring back the idea of Italian American culture in Pittsburgh. I wanted to remind people that we do have a history here. I wanted to remind people that there are some famous Italian Americans from here that we can look up to. And I just wanted to share all of the information and knowledge about the culture that I had growing up with others who might not have had that knowledge or might not have that interest. And I wanted to show people why maybe they should be interested in Italian American culture, why it is fun to be proud of your heritage and actively participate in it.
Nick, let me ask you a question because you keyed on something. There was no mention of the Columbus Day. We were just talking. We were just talking about this. I said, I think that at some point, America really turned sour on Columbus. Okay, he was viewed as, the discoverer of the New World, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, in the last 20, 30 years, I won't use those words, but there was a certain segment of America that started to teach everyone how bad he was. And that fell into mainstream. Now, you're relatively young, Nick. When you were going to school, how was Columbus presented to you?
To be honest, I don't really remember learning a lot about Columbus. I think he was briefly mentioned in school, but growing up, I come from a small town. It's kind of a rural area, so we didn't really have those kind of like political ideas that you might see in some of the larger
Well, in the
cities
cities,
or around
right?
the country. So growing up, to be honest, I didn't even think or know of Columbus as an Italian thing. I don't even think I really realized that he was Italian when I was growing up. I just thought of it as an American thing. It's another American holiday, and it's something to be proud about, of our history, about how this land was discovered, and it united the eastern and western hemispheres, and about how Columbus was a brave explorer. So that's pretty much it. I didn't really think too much into it. I didn't see any of the negative sides of Columbus. I knew that a lot of the Native American populations probably weren't a huge fan of new peoples visiting their land and eventually basically taking it over. But I just also thought of that as just like another part of history. That's just, if you are educated on history, that happened all throughout history. It's not just
right.
one specific point in time where a land has been conquered by people from a foreign land. There were wars happening all throughout history. So
Well, that's exactly right,
I didn't
Nick.
really think too much of it.
That's exactly right. And in fact, the natives that were here didn't just spring from the ground. They immigrated, migrated, and they fought each other and did the same thing to each other that, they accused the West of doing. It's just human history for thousands of years. It's what we've done. Now, I want to go back to something else, too, because I was talking to someone, I don't know if it was last year's parade or whatever. They said a very low turnout. And you also chimed on something. You said the local media doesn't pick it up anymore. Now, in theory, when you have a parade in the middle of the city that shuts down a major thoroughfare and you're going to have all these groups, you would think that the media would at least mention it. How has the reaction been that you've been kind of taking on a proactive role to promote things? Have you been getting feedback from people saying, I'm glad you did that because I didn't know about it, whatever it is?
Well, to be fair, at least for last year, and I'm not sure about the year before, the local media or the news stations, they did cover the parade. They were there filming on site, and then they put it on the news. So they aired it after the fact. But the thing that I was talking about earlier is that they didn't promote it like they have in recent years, where if you go on the local news websites, they'll tell you the date that it's happening, the time that it's happening, and all the information. So that's really where they fell short, I guess, the last couple of years. But in terms of the reaction of my coverage of the parade, last year I live streamed it for the first time, and you would see people from even outside of Pittsburgh watching the live stream, and they were all excited. They were very supportive and proud of their city. You even saw some Italians from Canada who were watching the live stream, and one of them was actually related to Kathy, who I mentioned earlier, and she was very excited because I don't know if she's never been to the parade, but at least she couldn't come this past year. So she was really happy that she was able to see a parade that was organized by her cousin. Aside from that, I mean, on my posts, I'll get likes on these videos about the Columbus Day Parade. Some comments are by people who believe strongly in Columbus. They're proud of him, and they don't really like this whole idea of these people attacking him or making us feel shame about supporting Columbus. But I really haven't had that much of a reaction from it. I did notice there are some people who still dislike Columbus, and they would DM me about it, and they would be like, you should be ashamed of promoting this or sharing anything about Columbus. And then you would see some people like basically saying like F Columbus, even some people who are part of the Italian American community. Well, when I say they're part of the Italian American community, that just means that they are Italian American and they embrace the culture, but they're not necessarily actively participating in the culture, these specific people. And you can tell that these Italian Americans specifically are a little different than the ones that are more actively participating in the culture.
Okay, you know what, Nick? We're going to take a quick commercial break to do some PR work here. You're giving us some great information. We appreciate it, and there's more to come on this interview. But as Steve mentioned to the outside of the show, my show, the Claudio Relsano Show, you can listen to it on ClaudioRelsano.com and all the streams. All the streaming services. Yes, but again, ClaudioRelsano.com. I've had such great guests. Steve, I think you've been on there
A long time ago.
Yeah,
Claudio.
we got to get you back on.
Long
We will get you back on to talk about your documentary. But Mario Andretti, we've had Mario Andretti, Jerry Cooney, Donnie Lalonde, Vinny Pazienza, Paulie Malignaggi, Vince Ferragamo. I can go on and on. We've had a lot of great guests, so tune into that show. And it's also kind of turned into more of an entrepreneurial show as well. So I'm doing business, very successful business people in the Italian community, as well as athletes. And, of course, as I said, an entrepreneurial program. Another show that I do, Steel City Sports World, every Wednesday live on. Go to SC Sports World on YouTube. Luther Dupree is the host, along with Smoking Jim Frazier and myself. And we're going to be doing Steeler Pre-Snap every Sunday, 8 a.m. on SC Sports World as well. Those are two great shows with great people. And my book, Lead from the Heart Up, Not the Neck Up, How to Create a Positive Winning Culture on the Field and in the Office. It's been doing very well. I appreciate that. It's a leadership book, and it's all sold out at Barnes & Noble, so just get it on my website. So that's it, and I'm back on Italian Impact Weekly, which I'm very honored and flattered to be on, and I'm excited about it.
Ciao, Chrissy. Your Italian got so much better. Brava.
Grazie. It's because I learned the best way possible.
How so?
Well, I learned that with apps, grammar books, and even YouTube videos, I could only get so far. I had to immerse myself. I noticed I did best when I was in Italy visiting family. That's where my level really soared.
And wow, did it work?
Thanks. I became much more confident, fast. That's why I created Footsteps Through Time. It's an Italian language experience. You don't just take Italian classes, you immerse yourself in a real Italian village. With lots of fun activities and excursions, it's life-changing.
I see. So, no more boring grammar, impersonal apps, just real conversations, real culture, and delicious food, of course.
Exactly. I'm so excited about this. Learn Italian by actually becoming part of the local community for a week and living it. So if you've been dreaming of Italy and the language, check out Footsteps Through Time in Italy.com. Book now and join the experience.
Andiamo!
Thanks to Greater Pittsburgh Travel. For any of your travel needs, let Tom and the team at Greater Pittsburgh Travel know, and they'll take care of you. For more information, call 412-331-2244 or visit their website at www.greaterpittsburghtravel.com. Did your parents or grandparents ever talk about the Vietnam War? The Hardest Year, a love story and letters during the Vietnam War, is an accurate portrayal of what life was like during the 1960s, a time of the draft, equal rights, and the anti-war movement. Follow newlyweds through their letters as they navigate 1 year of the war an ocean apart. The Hardest Year by Carol and William Wagner is available now wherever books are sold. And we want to thank the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. If you're interested in learning more, you can find their contact information on Facebook at Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. Again, thanks Domenica and the team at the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh for your support. And we want to thank La Scuola d'Italia Galileo Galilei, the only nonprofit school in Pittsburgh endorsed by the Italian Consulate. If you're interested in learning Italian or have your children being immersed in the Italian culture and language, be sure to give them a call at 412-404-7070. And that's La Scuola d'Italia Galileo Galilei. We'd also like to thank Chris Gonzalez from the Knights of Columbus. If you have any questions about joining the Knights of Columbus, reach out to Chris Gonzalez at 412-605-9074. All right, welcome back, folks. And Nick, I want to pick up somewhere where you left off. You talked about there were certain people that were, for lack of a better term, poo-pooing you, making comments, quote, Italian Americans, but not very active in the community. I'm just kind of as a curious. I know you can't possibly know what's going on in their head or their heart. Where is that anger coming from? And is it just the Columbus, or is it kind of just there's just angry people and anything you post something, or where do you think that's coming from?
Well, there's one individual that I'm thinking of specifically, and there have been other posts that I made that made him a little bit angrier. Like he would post a rude comment, but some of the other guys, it was primarily Columbus, and my sense is that they're more influenced by other parts of society, maybe other cultures, than they are their own culture. They're not as influenced from the Italian American culture. So it's just about where you get your ideas from, who you're hanging out with, who you follow, and who you're interested in learning from and listening to. And
that's why you got to keep doing what you're doing, because I think there is a lot of misinformation out there. I think there is, again, how we were okay with him for hundreds of years, and then all of a sudden in the last 20, he turned into, the Antichrist. It's just insane, and there's a lot of misinformation. But again, I don't want to focus just on Columbus, because you do cover a lot of other things. I want to talk about the Scopa stuff. Tell the folks about the Scopa.
Yeah, so about a year ago, I kind of started dabbling into Scopa, played it for the first time at a Calabria Club event. It was their bocce picnic they had last year, and I've long wanted to learn Scopa. I've had a deck for quite some time, so I wanted to continue it and continue practicing it so I keep it fresh in my mind. But also, some of the people that I met through the Calabria Club, they seemed very passionate about Scopa, and a couple of the guys were talking about maybe putting together some sort of tournament, and I told them I'd be interested in it. And I encouraged it. I said we should do something like that. And I was waiting, and I was waiting, and I was waiting, and nothing really seemed to come of this idea of the tournament. So eventually I just decided, well, you know what? I have this page. Maybe I could put something together. I could promote it on the page, and then maybe we could start encouraging people who are a little shy to maybe come to some of the events like the Calabria Club, and we could do something that's a little bit more casual and maybe even a little bit more intimate, where we're mingling more and socializing more and always meeting new people, always going to a new place. So the first one was last year in December. It was at the Bulldog pub in Morningside, and the owner's actually Italian, so he was very supportive. He brought out some very good Italian American food for us, and I was pretty surprised about the turnout of the first one. There were people there that I had never met before, and I wasn't sure how they even heard about the meetup, and they came, and we had a great time. We ate, we played Scopa, socialized, and that really encouraged me to keep it going. So since then, I've tried to do it every single month. It's usually on a Saturday. It's usually around noon. If it's at a place where we can have breakfast, then maybe I'll start it at 10:30 or something like that. But typically it's at noon, and I try to make a flyer every month for it and post about it and promote it. In the summer, I did skip a couple months because I recently got married, so I didn't have a lot of time the past couple months, but now I'm starting it up again. And the next one's going to be on September 20th. We're going to do it at the Lalo's in Jeanette, and they have a little section outside. It's has a roof above it, so even if it's raining, we should still be able to play, and they have some outdoor seating with some tables, so that should be fun.
Nick, final question. What are your goals with your project? Are you looking to maybe do a podcast? Are you looking to do interviews? What are you looking to do, if anything?
Well, so far I have quite a few followers on Instagram. I have almost 8,000 followers on Facebook. I actually have more than that now, even though Facebook it started after my Instagram page, but it really comes down to how much interest there is. If I'm seeing more and more interest, more engagement, and more traction, then eventually I would like to maybe branch out into YouTube and see where things go. But right now I'm just focusing on continuing to do what I do, which is to inform and educate people on the history of Italian American culture, and specifically the Italian American culture in Pittsburgh area. I want to continue networking and making connections, not only within Pittsburgh, but also outside of Pittsburgh. Recently, I went to Cleveland's Little Italy, and I made a lot of friends there from just my posts about their Italian festival that they had. So I got a lot of Cleveland followers, and I know that Pittsburgh and Cleveland we're rivals, but I want to have a friendly relationship, at least with the Italian American community of Cleveland, because they're not very far, and I think that it would be great for Pittsburgh Italians to learn from Italian American cultures from other cities as well, that maybe they have a stronger community, maybe not, but either way we can learn from each other, and the more the merrier. I mean, we only have so many actively participating Italian Americans in Pittsburgh, so whatever I can do to preserve what we have with our culture now and possibly grow it and make it stronger, that's ultimately the goal.
You know, real quick, you said you're going to be streaming the Columbus Day Parade this year, right? Where can people see that at?
Unfortunately, this year I won't be able to stream it because I'm going to be in Europe for my honeymoon.
Oh, good for you. Good.
Wait a minute. You're going to Europe over Pittsburgh, Nick?
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to Portugal. I'm going to Rome because it's the Jubilee year, and since I just recently got married, I have the chance of meeting the Pope. So I'm going to take that chance, and then I'm going to stop in France for a few days also.
Good.
All right, Nick. Listen, buddy, we appreciate you coming on the show, and you're going to share this far and wide because I like what you're doing, and I want to continue to promote you because you continue to promote the community, and that's important. For the folks that are listening, you know, I'm the honorary consulate. I know you're probably sick of hearing me say that, but I say it for a reason. So Nick's kind of inspired me. On the consulate website, I actually have an events calendar. If you have an event coming up and you would like us to add it to the calendar, just reach out to me. I'm not asking for anything. I want to promote events. So if you say, hey, listen, we're going to have a day festival here, we're going to do this, you know, or we're going to have a big dinner, whatever, reach out to me. And then, you know, like I said, Nick ends up being at a lot of these things, so we can continue to promote it. Nick, I'm going to continue working with you because, like I said, I do think what you're doing is good work. I do think the community is fractured. I think there are people that would get involved if someone would lead, and I think we're leading because we're starting to promote events. We're starting to get out there. We're starting to, you know, show the after event. See, wow, that looked like fun. I wish I had gone. Now the next event they're going to go to. And by the way, I went to at least one scope event. I keep thinking I went to at least two, but let's just say one for sure. And I did have a good time. So those are fun events. You go, you hang out with people. Maybe you know some of them, maybe you don't, but you meet new people and you're all there for the same reason. So you have fun, you play cards, you eat, you drink, you do whatever, and it's just a good time. I mean, you don't have to know somebody to go there, but by the time you leave, you will have met a few people and you will have some new friends who have very similar, you know, kind of belief system, who you are. So you're going to have something to immediately connect with them. I also I'm a big proponent of reaching out to other cities, especially, you know I've had folks from Columbus on here, from Cleveland on here on the show, people from Philadelphia. And I know it's the Eagles, but we got Philadelphia on here. But why? Because they're doing the same thing we're doing. And the reason, you know, my slight political slanted message, the reason that the parades don't get pushed, the reason that the statues get toppled, the reason that by the way, a lot of people don't know this, but October is Italian American month. The reason you don't hear that anymore is because the community is so fractured, it has no pull politically. So nobody listens to Italians because they think, well, they're not going to do anything about it. But the more you get together and unite on issues, that's when people start listening. So we've got to keep promoting these things, and we've got to keep getting involved. So Nick, thank you very much for your time. Last question for you. Where can folks follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram. My username is Pittsburgh Italians 412. And then on Facebook, it's the same username, Pittsburgh Italians 412, but the logo doesn't include the 412. It just says Pittsburgh Italians, then it has a little Italian flag.
Awesome. All right, Nick, we appreciate you, buddy. And to our loyal listeners from all over the world, I love that. I think that is awesome, folks. And I mean, I've got listeners in Ukraine, Russia, Singapore, Australia, South America, Brazil, obviously Italy, the UK, Canada, a lot of Canadians listening. We appreciate you. Claudia and I, we look at the stats. I think I'm up to almost 30 countries. And I don't mean like accidental click. I mean legitimately we have regular listeners. So if you don't think that I know you're out there, I do. And Claudio and I, we say thank you for tuning in. You know, we're trying to get these episodes more frequent. Obviously, we got to coordinate guests. So sometimes we can do it weekly. Worst case, it's every other week. But we're going to continue to try and bring you good guests. And Claudio, as always, welcome back. And
thank you.
I want to give you the last word.
Well, I appreciate being back, and it's always great to be with you. Nick, thank you for your time. I'm sure we'll be in touch. And we appreciate all the listeners and support. And as always, thank you, Mom and Pop.